as to rent going up every chance they get to raise it on us. We move into the community known as Johnston Square with the hope of a lot of construction and new development is on its way. So we moved in, got great hopes and dreams, and we waited. And we waited. And we waited patiently. Development did come, but it didn't come to Johnston Square. Johnston Square was one of those little neighborhoods. To the north of us, we had the great historic Greenmount Cemetery that sort of blocked us from the rest of the world on the north. And then we had the penitentiary that sort of blocked us to the south. So we were this little donut hole community right there in the middle, and a lot of stuff wasn't happening. We saw houses being built over at Hopkins. We saw houses being built in Greenmount West. We saw houses being built in Oliver. But we didn't have a lot of stuff happening where we were. Our biggest challenge, needless to say, was I wanted to make some changes, and I didn't know how. But I remember a quote that said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that teacher came in the form of a build organizer by the name of Terrell Williams. He had a smile that lit up the room, and he wanted to know what were my concerns, and he understood my frustrations. I wanted to make some changes in my neighborhood because I wasn't going anywhere. So he helped me with the leadership of the Build organization, how to make some changes in my community. And here's some of the things we did. We partnered with the school here in our neighborhood, Johnston Square Elementary. We talked to the principal and an outstanding teacher there, Mr. Patrick Lee. We held a big community meeting there. And that day we had almost over 100 people came to that meeting because people in Johnston Square, they wanted some change, but nobody knew where to start. We listened to them. That's what Build teaches. You have to listen to people and find out what their interests are, and that's what we did. Number one on the list was recreation, because we didn't have a lot of recreation going on at the time in Johnston Square. The recreation centers were down. The recreation centers had gone down. The pool was here in the summertime, but the pool didn't have the bathrooms. And so the kids, had to shower with a hose. It wasn't acceptable for us. So housing was also one of the needs of the community, and employment. So we began hosting monthly meetings, and our first partner in the community, along with Mount Sinai Baptist, was Highway Christian, because they gave us a place to meet and listen to the neighborhood and find out some of the things they wanted. But then later on, Open Works opened their doors to us, which is where we hold our meetings now. Definitely got to thank Hallelujah Baptist Church, because they're letting us use the land, because we wanted people to know Johnston Square was here. So those of you who've noticed, we have a beautiful mosaic sign that was built by Art with a Heart to let people know that, hey, this little donut hole has a name, and it's Johnston Square, and we're doing great things here. Mount Sinai sent a bunch of their members to be part of our leadership core team. Johnston Square Apartments had a group of women down there called the Women to Work, and they came and joined in with us and helped us out. Lillian Jones Apartments came out and sent a few of their folks. Zion Hill and Eastern District Police Department sent the fun wagons and the police officers, the community service officers. Our course was clear. Summer was coming. The kids were going to be on the street with not a lot to do. And top of the list was this recreation challenge we were having. My husband Keith over there on the background, he found this space. But this space didn't look like a park back then. It was a dumping ground. Even though it was called Ambrose Kennedy Park, there were couches and there were trash bags, and there was an old faded basketball court with fences falling down. And the pool that has a beautiful mural now was full of rust spots and paint that was falling down. we had to do something. So what did we do? We called on some partners. We called in the Rock City Church, and we called in all of our neighborhood helpers. And we cleaned this park from top to bottom for an entire week. We had a week-long cleanup. At the end of that cleanup, we also partnered with Mr. Rudersill and Sarah Hope at Rex and Parks, Bryony from Neighborhood Design Center, and we basically started carrying out, and I can't say enough about the 6th branch. Dumpster after dumpster after dumpster was carried from this park. So really, this is not phase 1. This is actually phase 6. Because we've been at this for 5 years now. But we continue to clean, and we have to thank our city officials and the Department of Housing and Rebuild Metro, because they're helping us and approving us and helping us get rid of some of the old vacant properties, because Johnston Square has 52% vacant properties. We're working on that. That's going to be some future phases. But we continue to clean, and I have to say that after each big year, we stop and celebrate with all of our friends and partners. And we have them here today. We have the Baltimore Guardian Angels, who have been with us since the beginning. They walked with us on community walks, bringing neighbors out to let them know it's a new day in Johnston Square. We had Jenny from Art with a Heart, James from Meadworks, who opens his doors to us whenever we need somebody. We have Mr. Lee here, who whenever we have an event, you can count on Mr. Lee to bring some chips and water for the community, along with James and Chicken Castle, who also bring us some great goodies for our victories and our celebrations. So after 5 years, look at us now. A world-class park in the making. Please stay tuned. There's lots more to come, beginning with this victory and many more. But what I'd like to do is bring up our elected officials, and I'd like to start with Madam Mayor Pugh. We're going to have one of them in a minute.